Okay, and finally, new rule. Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging.
Okay, no one here is on the far left. The View hosts are not on the far left. They're center left at most, okay? MSNBC, they have some far left, but it's a mix. If you're going to call them the far left, I don't know what you consider progressives and communists, because these people are very moderate when it comes to like political positions in general. I guess they're far left in American media because they're the only real like progressive-ish media that's on TV. I'm talking about MSNBC, by the way. The View is insane. I don't like The View at all.
When you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it.
No. So talking about misinformation and people believing things that aren't true, we got to have that conversation. We should not call people stupid, and I don't think people are stupid, but their news sources are probably Joe Rogan and random Twitter posts most of the time. So I'd rather approach that conversation with talking about how we get information out to people and how we connect to people better. But the median voters who decided this election were not really thinking that deeply about policy. They probably just saw, hey, the prices were pretty high the past few years. I'm going to vote for Trump because the prices were high. They probably did not think any deeper than that.
Yeah, I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts and masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And
Bro, I've never seen a person wear this shirt. You had to selectively cherry pick someone wearing this shirt from an internet stock photo. And you're going to use that to represent the entire left and ignore all actual data we have around this election. Everyone with this election, every single person is pushing their own pet political topic. So Bill Maher is going to blame wokeness and the far left cultural agenda just because he always complains about that. Just as you'll see a populist progressive talk about not supporting the working class enough or proposing policies for the working class. Everyone's going to say that they lost for the reason that they want to believe that they lost for, including moderate Republicans who are going to say Democrats didn't go moderate enough. They did not support Liz Cheney enough.
And masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, I mean person who...
The woman defining thing, bro. Bill Maher's got to retire. Masking is normal in other countries if you're sick. I think if you're sick, it's pretty cool that you care about your neighbors. Okay, if you're going to be snotting up in Walgreens, I don't like that. I do not personally wear a mask when I'm sick. I'll get everyone sick. Why would I care? But I don't know why this is a big point. And really, if you're complaining about all this, you are being a very triggered person. You are crying about woke people. You are crying about liberal politics. You want to own the libs. Like, Bill Maher's very offended right now. Bill Maher's in the position of, oh, how dare these people do this? Like, why get mad at this? Are we going to talk about any policy? Are we going to talk about anything real to do with the world?
And you can't define woman, I mean person who menstruates. You're the Teachers Union Education Party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual...
Wait, what?
...party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke.
How did you turn schools and colleges into a joke? The blue states in America rank top in education. All the red states rank bottom. Massachusetts is like first for education. Meanwhile, you have Oklahoma and Alabama who are tied for the worst in education. The left hasn't done that. The left isn't the reason people are falling behind in schools. All the red states have terrible education numbers.
You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person.
No, they lost a performance. They lost a acting competition to a reality TV show person, and that makes sense. Trump did not talk about one actual policy during the campaign trail. We went over this multiple times, but the tariffs, he said 20%, 40%, 400%, 4,000%. No one cared. Ask Trump about childcare. He had no answer. Trump said drill, baby, drill, ignoring that America's leading the world in oil production. Our energy independence peaked in 2023 under Joe Biden. So people just ignore those facts about the world when talking about this election. It wasn't about losing the crazy contest. It was about Donald Trump being able to manipulate people better. That's all it was about. Kamala's platform with expanding Medicare to cover at-home costs, $6,000 child tax credit, $50,000 small business tax deductions, increasing Medicare's ability to negotiate drug prices and hold pharmaceutical companies accountable. Those policies were real policies that were actually talked about, focusing on price gouging. Trump had no policy. He had all vibes and emotion. He had fear-mongering. That's why he had to lie about Haitian immigrants. Trump had to lie about FEMA. He had to lie about Haitian immigrants because he had nothing else to stand on.
You love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit. The Democratic polling firm Blueprint told Democrats months ago that black voters, aka their supposedly liberal base, were more likely to find the president too liberal than too conservative.
Well, it's true. Many Republicans and their ideologies align with a lot of black Americans, but black people don't vote Republican because of pretty obvious reasons. If Republicans could drop the racism part, then a lot more black people would vote for them. There are many black conservatives. That's not very surprising, especially because many black people have conservative social views. So they'll be anti-choice and they will be anti-LGBT. So it makes sense that they think the Democratic Party is too far left. And people don't really know policy, so they're not going to say the Democratic Party is too far left policy-wise. It's almost always going to be socially.
From what they believe the entire Democratic Party has become, a Portlandia sketch.
But if people are just going to say, oh, I don't like gay people or trans people, then again, that's a victim culture on the right wing in America, because we're not talking about wages. We're not talking about housing. We're not talking about the actual economy, the real economy and unions and healthcare. We're talking about culture war issues and trans people who make up 1% of the world's, not of the world's, but 1% of the U.S.'s population.
Bunch of privileged mean girls complaining about privilege and trying to make fetch happen. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism.
And also, this guy is seeing everything through race and sex and culture war. Bill Maher is also an elitist. I don't like when Democratic consultants and Democratic strategists are elitist. I am always disagreeing with them and their messaging tactics and who leads the party. I do not agree with how Democrats do anything. Barely. I mean, I have some disagreements, or I have some agreements. I barely agree with their tactics, even if I know their policies are 100% better than Republicans. So don't forget, Bill Maher is an elite.
Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him. Maybe you missed it because it wasn't on TikTok.
And also, Kamala did not talk about her race, her gender. Kamala did not talk about trans people at all on the campaign trail. She avoided that topic as much as possible.
And sexism? Hillary got 3 million more votes than Trump, which in a normal country would be called a victory. It wasn't...
True.
It wasn't 21st century sexism that prevented a woman from being president. It was the Electoral College.
Someone named Fried Chicken is Tasty said she ran her campaign based on her being a woman and black, which she wasn't. That's completely false and against reality, completely. Republicans talked about race constantly, but Kamala tried staying away from it. The media kept asking Kamala questions about her race, and she was even asked a question like, hey, what do you think about Donald Trump saying you're not actually black? And Kamala literally said, next question. Kamala avoided that topic like the plague. Like, she did not want to talk about race or gender. She saw what Hillary did, saying, hi, vote for me, I'm with her, whatever. And she tried not repeating those mistakes.
Yes, there's a lot to not like already about the new regime, but maybe take 1 week to ask what you did wrong. The basis for Democratic campaigns has become, we're the smart people. That we know from the get-go. No need to look into that.
You probably think I'm Republican when I am unaffiliated. I don't care if you're an independent. You don't have to give yourself participation credits for not being a registered Republican when you agree with literally everything they say. You don't get participation points for that. We don't do that victim culture around here. Just present talk about your opinions. I don't care about what party you're in. I do not care.
Have you seen my "In This House We Believe" lawn sign? See, it says right on it, we believe in science. Right, which is why you demanded no one even debate whether COVID could have escaped from the one lab in the one city where they were studying it. How far-fetched.
Who is this you? I'm just trying to think who this you of the Unitary Democratic Party is. Are we talking about like Kamala? Are we talking about all Democrats? Are we talking about academia? Are we talking about medical professionals? Are we grouping them all into one? Because I heard even in just the Northeast among Democrats, I heard 80 different opinions on this.
The New York Times called it racist. Democrats have become like a royal family that, because of so much incest, has unfortunately had children who...
How is that Democrats, though? If it's a National Review, one journalist of New York Times calling it, like, okay, this reporter called it racist.
A royal family that, because of so...
It's one of those things where if you're going to project that view onto every single Democrat, then what are we even going to rebuttal? What am I going to say back? Like, you're not talking to me at that point. You're talking to whatever Democrat you want to talk to fit your argument. Biden's lack of foresight? Yeah, Joe Biden running for a second term is insane. Like, the fact he even thought he could do that is wild. The ego there, and it's the people around Biden that are getting paid off of Biden who probably pushed him to do it as well. But there's zero reason that should have been acceptable. Joe Biden should not have run again.
Because as a voter, the issues that were important to me were democracy and the environment. And now, there's no one to champion or defend either of them because you, with your aggressively anti-common sense agenda and shitty exclusionary attitude, blew it. You lost every...
I don't see the Democratic campaign just did not run like this. Kamala did not run the campaign Bill Maher is talking about. Objectively, we can look at every single word Kamala said during the campaign and fact check how many times she brought up trans people, and she did not bring up trans people at all. She did avoid that conversation. She did not bring up her own gender or race. Reporters did. Trump did. The Republican Party constantly talked about her gender and race because we're in an age of right-wing woke SJWs. But, like, we can verify all of this. I don't know what campaign he's talking about because Kamala was talking about freedom, patriotism, expanding Medicare, supporting unions, cracking down on price gouging, expanding child tax credits. That's what she was talking about. She also campaigned on democracy, and I don't even know if she talked about the environment, but she campaigned with Republicans, like Kinzinger. I think is that how you say his name? But whatever. Like, she was campaigning with Republicans. Kamala was trying to appear as moderate as possible. She literally said during the DNC speech that she's going to make sure the U.S. has the most lethal fighting force in the world. She chose that wording for a reason.
Everything. House, Senate.
Like, they saw this as an issue. They saw what Bill Maher's talking about as an issue, and they tried correcting for it. Kamala did her best to try and correct for what Bill Maher is saying the issue was, but it obviously did not work. And he's obviously not taking into account any part of reality surrounding this. It is hard, though. We need to keep bringing up that Elon Musk was texting each American complete lies, misrepresenting candidates. So he would send out texts saying, hey, this is Kamala here. Can you support my campaign so I can turn your kid into a trans, into a trans person, into a trans kid? They're also sending texts saying, hey, Kamala here. I'm going to ban your favorite drink. I'm going to ban your favorite soda. I'm going to ban, like, they were sending out fake messages from Kamala. Elon Musk intentionally was doing this. It was like a $50 million operation funded all by Elon Musk. If you're pro-Palestine, you got a message saying, hey, this is Kamala here. Are you ready to help me steamroll Gaza? And if you're pro-Israel, you got a message saying, hey, Kamala here. Do you want to help me make sure Israel is eliminated? So that propaganda mattered a lot this election as well. And according to the voter data, voters really did not know what they were voting for. They did not know what Trump's deportation actually meant. They did not know what tariffs were. They did not know what positions Kamala actually stood for, which I blame on Kamala a lot too. She was a terrible interviewer. She was actually a very subpar interviewer. But also the propaganda is something that's hard to control. And right-wing dominates every form of media except probably music. But WWE, podcasting, NFL, the right dominates everything. So the right wing just owns all this free media space, and they have the world's richest men behind them. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and the whole list of them. The Adelsons that donated millions of dollars. Trump got 80% of billionaire donations. 80% of billionaire donations is crazy.
and shitty exclusionary attitude blew it. You lost everything. House, Senate, White House, Supreme Court, and left us completely unprotected and ready to be violated. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody! Actually, we're on next week. We're on next week for our...
It's a dumb point. It's just a dumb point. Every incumbent lost globally. Every incumbent lost. This election, especially after the assassination attempt, was just going to be an anti-incumbency election. There's a chance they could have ran almost anyone. I mean, if they had a full primary, it could have changed things. But every party that was incumbent globally lost because the post-COVID inflation got blamed on that party who was in power. People don't care that Joe Biden managed inflation well and brought it down and passed good policies. They don't care about policy necessarily. Trump comes in with a very simple vision. He just says, I'm going to lower costs. Immigrants suck. We're getting them out of here. And we're also going to just like make other nations pay all of our taxes. And people just believe it. They don't want to hear like long, detailed policy talks. So Democrats need to adjust, and Democrats need to realize what the media environment really is. And the media environment isn't just like woke culture being bad. Democrats have been trying to move away from that already, but they need to. It's about strategy at this point. Like there's a part of basketball where you work on your jump shot, but then there's also a part where you actually need to game plan and play someone else. Democrats just can't translate that jump shot to the court when it comes to actual races they need to win.